different than
Some
the
people
kid
think
calling in a
games are
bomb
real
squad or bomb
Yeah.
threat, but whenever he's got an important test he forgot to study for.
All right, let's go back to the business of the business. Remember, it's a business. Because my business is a brokerage, I still have to follow business laws and business rules. The biggest set of business rules that we want to talk about are what they call the Sherman antitrust rules, or the Sherman antitrust laws, that try and limit a company's ability so that they're not taking an unfair advantage of the public. Now, before we get into that, I want to introduce two terms and make sure you guys understand. And I've had problems with this before on English as a second language for some people. Thank goodness. Sometimes English is a second language for me, I don't know. There is a difference between the word inter and intra. Inter means between. These rules and laws are illegal intercompany, between companies. Like me and the Caldwell Banker and the Keller Williams, they're all illegal, every one of these. Intra-company, which means inside of, these are all legal. Inside of my company, I can do every one of these because it's my company. It's like interstate goes between states. It's a road between states. Inter is between. Intra is okay. So for example, price fixing is illegal intercompany. I cannot call Paul Caldwell from Remax and all the other managing brokers in the city and say, you know what, if we all start charging 10% and fix the price, then we'll drive the price up and we'll all get paid more money. That is illegal. Inside of my company, I can make the rules anything I want. If you guys all work for me and I tell you we all list every house at 9%, you have no choice. Your only choice is to leave and go to another company, because this is inside of my company. I can do that. It's 9% all the time, no questions asked, don't even come to me. The opposite of that is group boycotting. We all can't get together as different companies and say, let's run Chicago Title out of business. Nobody ever used them and they'll die. That's illegal. But inside my company, I can say, I don't like them. I think they are too expensive. Don't use that company. So inter is illegal, intra is okay. Allocation of customers is another great example. A buddy of mine owns a Remax way up in Cicero, Indiana. I cannot call him and say, every client you get south of 96th Street, you give to me, and everyone I get, I'll give, or everyone north, I'll give to you. No, there may be somebody up there that wants a south side broker because they're moving south. That's illegal. But inside of my company, I can say, well, Diane lives in Greenfield. I've got a new client that wants to list in Greenfield. I'll give it to her because it makes more sense. She knows that. And you live on the west side. I'll give it to you for west side people. And so inside of my company, I can allocate my customers whoever I think does best. Intercompany, you cannot. You can't. In essence, that's forcing them to go to a broker that maybe they don't want to use. Same thing with markets. Intercompany, I can't say, well, if they're commercial, I'll give them all to you. But inside of my company, yes, I can. A tie-in agreement is one where you force someone to buy the pit before you give them the cherry. You can't tie, like, I'll sell you the really cheap house, but you got to buy the marsh swampland that goes with it. I'll sell you the really good house, but you got to buy the swamp. That's a tie-in agreement. I can't force you to buy one just to use the other. Theoretically, I think this one violated a lot. In intellectual property, only works on Windows. Got to buy Windows to get that to work. No one's ever pushed it, and I don't know, but I would tend to think it probably could be. Now, dealing with technologies, once again, it's very hard for me to teach you all of the technology or actually even test you on technology. One, because we're not IT people. We're supposed to be real estate people. Although I jokingly told somebody the other day that I've traded in my real estate knowledge for IT knowledge, because 90% of all the questions people that call me anymore are about issues with the website. I can't log in, I can't get this, why won't that do it? All I will tell you is, you are an agent of me. You represent me. At no time can you ever make it look like you do not. The Real Estate Commission has just adopted new laws, believe it or not, solely based on Twitter. Because Twitter is limited in the number of characters you guys can use. So now they allow a link. You don't actually have to say in your tweet that you're an agent of the Modular Group. If you have a link of the Modular Group, which takes you to a website where it says you're an agent of the, then that's acceptable. All right? So you have to keep that in mind when you're advertising. Your emails should say, make it known that you are an agent. Two of my biggest pet peeves are unbranded voice messages and unbranded emails. You know, I get that all the time. I'll call another agent, beep, you have reached the number 471. No, you should have a voicemail that says, hi, I'm Raymond. I sell houses. Leave me a message. And your email should be branded. You know, you can do that. If you don't know how, get with the technology and learn. All right? You can actually brand your text too, by the way. You can go into your phone and put an ending on it so that when it sends, it automatically appends that ending.
That's irritating. I don't know why.
Better lose that pet peeve. Because theoretically, when you have, all your communication has to make sure that they know it's coming from a licensed agent at some point. Yeah, oh, I see a lot of disclaimers now. I get emails that are like 4 words and the disclaimer's 27 lines.
Right.
Especially from my buddies that are licensed or practicing attorneys. This email was solely intended for the party in which it was addressed. If this is not you, you are erroneously looking. Please immediately desist and close the email.
Yeah.
That's like, I saw a bumper sticker on a car the other day, and I couldn't read it. So it pissed me off, so I got up right on it and read it, and it said, if you can read this, back off. I'm like, well, duh. I'm only on your ass because I'm trying to read the bumper sticker. Internet advertising, I do know that you have to link. You can have your own page. If you want to says TracySellsRealEstate.com, that's fine. But somewhere on that page, you have to physically and emotionally link back to the Modular Group because you are not the agent, I am. So somewhere you have to have our logo with a link back to our page. You have to say that you're an agent of the Modular Group. I think this is starting to spin out of control. I see this a lot. Somebody, and they forget to put where they're associated with, or, and there are certain words, believe it or not, you can't have. Can't use the word realtor in your logo, or in your,
It's a trademark.
yeah, it's trademark. Trust me, they've called me. That group that I've got called the Real Estate Professionals, used to be called the Realtors. Took them about 3 days before I got a call from the NAR's legal department. It's a registered word, you can't use that, you gotta change the name. Yes, sir, I will do that.
Hard to believe you can register a word.
Yeah. Now you can use your name like Raymond Moslin, Realtor, if I am. But I can't have a site called Realtor's Best Friend or Your Best Realtor. Those are reserved words. Some of the new technology that we got coming is electronic contracting. I guarantee you will see this in your lifetime, in your career lifetime. We already have now this thing called DocuSign where they can sign on the internet. Yeah. The next thing that you will see, and I have already seen a beta version of this, where you sit in, we sat in different rooms representing different states, and it was virtually, it was a chat room is what it was. And we sat in front of the computer with the camera, and we had a big computer screen where we could see all the documents, and down in the corner was the video of the other person sitting in the other room, and of course theirs showed ours, and it was simulating California and Indiana. And the closer was in a third room, and you could hear her talking, okay, here's what we got, here's and the files were all going through, and she even made a mistake to show how easy it was. Oh, I misspelled your name, you saw the screen highlight, and then reprint her name back. And the cool thing was, it was a touch screen. My client touched the screen in like 5 places, and then we had one of those signers like at Walmart where they signed it one time, hit go, and it populated all the signatures with the same signature all at one time, and then they just printed all the documents out, you were done. And I said, that's really cool. So that's coming. And eventually that's going to lead you to now things like, oh, you're on the north side, I'm on the south side. Just log on to so-and-so and we'll close, and my client will come to my office and we'll sit right here, and your client can be in your office, and we'll just close and nobody has to go meet.
Go to meeting.
Yeah. It's coming. Now, there's some prohibited communications that you guys have to abide by. Most notably, the number one is the do not call list. This is another example to me of technology outpacing our laws. This used to be really big 10 years ago when I first started, because we used to make phone calls to clients, cold calling. Hi, do you want to sell your house? Hi, would you like to sell your house? Can't do that because of the do not call list. All right? Well, the funny thing is, we don't do that anymore. Now we spam them with emails and Facebook and all that. The do not call registry exempts 4 people. Not on the overhead. But I do want to talk about it. There are 4 exemptions to the do not call list. It is in the book, so if you're online, please make sure you look this up in the book. The 4 people that are exempt obviously are the government, which is the one that made the damn law to begin with.
Right.
So any political campaigning is not exempt. And I've been getting these phone calls.
The robocalls.
Yeah, the robocalls. Surveys are exempt. Nonprofit organizations and bill collectors, which are the people you don't want to call you anyway.
All 4 of them.
Yeah. You answer the phone. Raymond there? No habla inglés. Say they're calling already.
I'm over the surveys. Everybody wants a survey.
You want to know what a survey is? Good question. When I bought the Century 21 a number of years ago, one of the things we did was go out to Parsippany, New Jersey, and do the whole rah-rah, your new franchise. One of their lawyers told us that the do not call list surveys are exempt. What's a survey? It's 2 questions. So you call somebody and say, hey, is your house still for sale? Yes, it is. Would you ever entertain talking to an agent? Yes, I would. Well, just so happens I'm an agent with Century 21. I'm on the do not call list. You just took a survey. That's exempt.
And I'd hang up on you anyway.
That's fine.
I have a question.
You can.
Ask 100. One's
Yeah.
gonna say yes.
And that's the whole point in cold calling. You ask 100, one of them's going to say yes.
I had a real estate agent contact me. I had a house, one of my rental properties listed, and I took it off the market, and he contacted me a couple months later, possibly being interested in it for himself as an investor. Is that legal for him to do that?
Sure. It was off the
I
market,
didn't know.
right?
It was off the market, yeah.
Even if it was on the market, if he was ultimately
Not,
the
he
buyer.
didn't want to list it, he wanted to be the buyer.
Yeah, then ultimately, even if
Okay.
so the question is whether it was on or off.
I just didn't know how he found me.
He found you on the
And then he looked me up,
The
and
MLS.
called. And I
That
heard
used to be, matter of fact, one of the comments on the Facebook quote the other day was one of the agents saying, how come I can't see the expiration date? It used to be years ago, one of the tricks that your broker is going to have you do is chase what they call warm leads. A warm lead is someone that is expired. Okay, they want to sell their house, but they're not using you. So one of the very first things we did with new people that begin, you want your list of leads? Here they are. People that house expired yesterday, call them. Because it expired, been on the market, so you say, hi, I'm Christy, I see your house was listed, you weren't successful, would you like to list it with the moduling group? I could come out and show you how good we do. yes, it expired, I want to relist it, come on out. But what started happening was people would say, okay, it expires tomorrow, I'll call tonight at 8 o'clock. That's a violation. Because they're still under, till midnight, they're still under, or then somebody go, oh, I heard Dave's doing it at 8, I'll call him at 7:30. So what the MLS did now was take off the date of expiration. So if you search for an active listing, it doesn't have the expiration date. So you can't preemptively schedule your calls. That's one of the things I used to have to do is tell my agents on Monday morning, come on in at 8 o'clock. What we'll do is we'll get a list of people to call on Tuesday, because that's all the ones that expire tomorrow. We'll get a list on Wednesday, get a list on Thursday, and you could do that legally if you followed the rules. People started jumping that time frame, so what my board did was take all the expiration off, so you can't do that now. But what you can now do is run a list of expired, but now it's retroactive. It'll tell you, yes, Christie's house expired yesterday, or 2 days ago, or 3 days ago. So now I can call you. But if it expired 4 days ago and I call and say, hey, you want to relist? Yes, I just relisted with Tracy. 2 days ago, you should have called. So that methodology has kind of lost the way they do it now. But what some investors do is they look at houses that were 6 months or a year ago, and if they're not, then they go to the tax record and say, oh, look, Christy wanted to sell her house, it's been 6 months, it's not transferred because I can go to the tax record. So obviously she's
That's
now.
what he did.
Now,
That kind of wigged me out. because
Now
that's what-
she may be motivated because it's been 6 months. So I'll call you and give you a really low ball stupid offer. And I tell investors all the time, as a true investor, ultimately you want to get your license. Because we have access to information Joe Blow doesn't have
Right,
off the
that's
street.
why I'm doing it.
Yeah. And you'll have that same access. You can do that now. You can go and look at a house that's been listed, say, over a year. That's a common investor trick too. Even if it's active, it doesn't matter because you could be the buyer and represent yourself. You go a house that's been on the market for over a year, probably motivated, and there's a way you can manipulate the dates on our MLS system. See when somebody listed the house, November of 2014. It's now November of 2015. I want to, it's still on the market. Look, they've been through 5 price lowers. I'm going to call them and offer them something stupid and hope they're motivated.
The Realtor.com and, what's the other one? Zillow, no.
Shut your mouth. Nobody likes Zillow.
I know. I was hoping you were gonna talk about that a little bit more.
We can talk about Realtor.com. In my opinion, Realtor.com
Let's
is
say how
your
many
own
days they've been on the
agency sacrificing, is cannibalizing their own clients.
Say what now?
And I actually think it's Realtor.org.
It's
Sorry.
.com.
Well, there is a
.com
.com, but I
already.
don't know if we own it. There were commercials out for Realtor.com's phone app, and it showed like the one girl, she was jogging and she heard the beep and she looked at it and said, oh, it just went for sale, and it showed her run right to the house and look at it. Never shows an agent in that deal, which to me is bypassing the whole point of what Realtor.com and .org. .org might be our training site, .com might be the public site, but that kind of violates the whole purpose. They're supposed to be helping us, and here they created an app for the public to go straight to the house.
Here's all the houses I wanna go see.
Yes, I think it was a bad thing.
Instead of the
Instead of saying, here's all the agents you should go see,
Right.
but that's neither here, and Zillow does the same thing, but they're a private, publicly traded company now, all right? I do want to get to one thing, because we didn't talk about it, but I know it's on the test. On the do not call list, remember, you have 3 months to call them if they called you first. So if someone calls into the modeling group and says, hey, I saw that house you got listed on 12 Smith Street, is it a 4-bedroom? And you go, no, it's only 3-bedroom. And they're like, okay, I'm not interested, thank you very much, and they hang up. The next day you list a 4-bedroom, you can literally go back to your phone and go, what's that phone number again? Oh, there it is. Call them and go, hey, this is Raymond. I know you were looking for a 4-bedroom, I just listed one, would you like to go see it? And they say, well, I'm on the do not call list. Yeah, but you started this.
Yeah.
You called me first seeking information. I can call you for 3 months if you initiated the phone call. and I have 18 months if you're a client of mine. So if I've closed a house with you, up to 18 months after agency terminated, I can still call you, even if you're on the do not call list, because you're my client, or you were my client. So if I've completed a transaction with you for 18 months, I can call you. If you've initiated the phone call, you being the consumer, to me, I've got 3 months. Now there's some other ones that have gone online, and I mean online as live, like the Consumer Protection Act, the junk fax. There's some spamming stuff that's supposed to, rules you have to follow. There's also ones that deal with the Megan's rules about children and pornography that you can't violate. We're not going to go over into every one of those. One of the other things the state has wanted us to talk about, and we touched on with the state laws, but I want to make sure we're just clear with it when dealing with earnest money. Remember, earnest money, I have to have at least one account. I can have multiple. It can be interest bearing. Usually it's not. It must be identified as an earnest money account somehow. You label the account as impound account, earnest money account, escrow account, or something, so that definitely the commission can see that's the one you're using. Do not commingle, and there are 2 types of commingling. You cannot put private funds into the earnest money account, with that one exception. And what's the one exception? I know the test was yesterday, and you guys just flushed it.
Bank fees.
I can put in maintenance fees, that's the only thing, and I obviously can put 0 earnest money in my personal account. Both of those are considered commingling. I can put money in the earnest money account to fund it. That's it. So like when you start it, can't open a bank account with 0. So we put like $5 in. Then you can put monthly maintenance fees in. Other than that, you cannot put any other money in an earnest money account except earnest money. Here's the funny thing. I can commingle everybody's earnest money.
Right.
So I can put your deal's earnest money in my earnest money account and your deal's earnest money in my earnest money account. That's okay. I just can't put my personal money into the earnest money account, or vice versa. If I do that, the next shoe or next step is conversion. Conversion is when I then pay something out of my earnest money or out of my account. They don't know which dollar it literally was, so they get you for both. These are called a pile-on. You guys are all familiar with that, right? When the cop pulls you over for speeding, he also then says, you know, while I got you here, you also made an illegal lane change. Your bumper's too high, you didn't have the turn signal on, so I'm going to write you all of these. He's piled on more stuff. That's what conversion typically is. They get you for commingling, and then they're going to get you for conversion while you're there, because you commingled 8 months ago and we caught it, and since then you've probably written at least 1 check. You don't know which dollar it was, so we're going to get you for conversion too. Commingling is a violation of rules and reg. Conversion is actually a criminal activity, or can be. All right, any questions?
Earlier you said the relationship, we were talking about the relationship of a managing broker and a broker. You said either 2 things or 3 things. I don't know. Do you remember that?
Your relationship with
You have to
me,
be in agreement with a
we
contract.
have, well, we're going to get in that, yeah. There are 3 things you have to get paid, all right, which is next chapter,
Okay.
all right? One of them that you asked specifically was you have to be in agreement with me. I have to sign an independent contractor agreement with you, all right? You also have to have a broker's license, which is what you're doing now, and 90% of your annual income has to be based on outcome stuff. We'll talk about it next chapter. For you to get paid a portion, those 3 things have to happen.
The quiz in the book had a question about commissions and the sales associate received.
Actually, it is. Go to page 135. I'm sorry, Tracy, I heard you. Let me finish this thought and then maybe. On page 135, I thought it was next
yeah.
chapter. There are 3 things that you have to have as an agent underneath me for me to actually give you that split that we talked about, the 50-50 split. You have to have a active, valid real estate license, which is what you're going through now to get that. You have to be under an independent contractor agreement stating you're not an employee. My independent contractor agreement says basically, generically, let me tell you, you agree to abide by all the rules. MIBORs, IARs, NARs, all that. I agree to abide by all the rules, all right? And then at the very end it says, I will not pay your federal income tax, I don't pay any of your state tax, I don't pay any of your car payment, any of your insurance. So you are in fact a 1099 agent. And then the third thing that has to happen for me to consider you an independent contractor is that 90% of your pay from me has to be based on independent contractor activities. Okay? So what that's saying is this, and I routinely do this. I can call you up one day, Christine, and go, hey, you know what, I need this document translated from Excel to Word. You want to come in and do that for me? I'll pay you $10 an hour to do that. You say, sure, I'll come in and type that for you. As long as it's not more than 10% of your annual income. But when you do that, I can now dictate your system. Okay, come in tomorrow at 9 and work till 5. I'll pay you $10 an hour. So at the end of the year, when I write you an independent contractor agreement, you did $80,000 in sales. 400 of it was me paying you by the hour. The rest of it was outcome-based. You're still an independent contractor. All right? If at the end of the year you didn't close any houses and the only money I paid you was to do that hourly thing, I'd have to go back and go, oh, I need to reclassify you. You're actually an employee because you earned all $400 from me based on hourly stuff. That's 100% of your annual income from me.
So that extra $400 is still included in the 1099?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as it's not more than 10%. So up to 90% or more of your annual income from me has to be based on independent contractor activities.
Okay.
If it's less, i.e. the other way to look at it, if your hourly is more than 10%, you're actually an employee. I would have to call you up and go, hey, we screwed up. I need to take money out of your account, or you owe me because I got to take the taxes out on that $400 and you're now an employee. All right? And you can be multiple in a single year. So you can get a W-2 from McDonald's and still get a 1099 from me because I worked at McDonald's and I was a real estate agent. All right? And you can have multiple 1099s. I worked for Raymond half the year and then I went to Remax the other half the year. So I'll give you one for half the year and he'll give you one for half the year. And so you can have multiple of those. All right, good? Thank you very much.